Hello, everyone from my side. I hope you're all well. Welcome to the Football Production Technology session, The Verdict. I'm Alessandro Reitano, SVP Sports Production at Sky Germany, and also the chairman of the SVG Europe Advisory Board. So with my panelists today, we will discuss where they are with new technologies like automation tools, all the fancy stuff, file-based slo-mo replay. Plus, we will explore in our discussion big trends or bigger trends like UHD-HDR, immersive audio, special camera system, but also 8K and more. So we have a full packed program for, let's say, we will divide our conversation in two parts. In part one, we will review of what has already been discussed before in the thought leader panel and a presentation by Jens at Signient. And in part two, we will talk about the big trends. So with me today are Emili Planas, CTO, Operation Manager at Mediapro La Liga, Tim Achberger, Head of Innovation and Technology at Sportcast, and Mark Dennis, Director of Technical Operation and at Sunset+Vine. Gentlemen, I'm very pleased that you have found time and participate today in session. And I'm also very, let's say, honored and pleased that I can chair the round. So we keep it very, very interactive and we have good topics to talk. So let's get right started. And I would, Mark, first question for you. I mean, we've just seen a discussion and a presentation covering, as I said, all the fancy stuff out there, which is about automation, social media distribution, highlight production, file-based slo-mo replay. So what did you take away from this conversation and what did you make of what was said so far?
Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you for the invite to be on this panel. It's nice to meet everyone. I found it really interesting. I think my sort of initial reactions when I listen to all that's happened so far is how now we talk so much more around the game rather than the actual coverage of the game. How we come to the point now where we're all so pleased with how well we cover the game. We now talk about so much more around it. But obviously from Sunset+Vine's point of view, we cover the Premier League for BT Sport and Amazon Prime Video in conjunction with BT Sport. So that's sort of the top end of our football coverage. But through other contracts, we also cover, the second, third tier. And I say that very cautiously because obviously all football is important to the fans. But one of our contracts is BBC Scotland. We cover the Scottish Cup for them. And listening to the live view, we use live view. We're a big live view user at Sunset+Vine. And it's right, the Scottish Cup is a great example of how we use live view in that it becomes a transmission tool for us. It started off many years ago as a access all area tool, but now we actually use it more for a transmission tool to get us to the off-grid venues, certainly in the Scottish Highlands. By off-grid, I mean, there's no immediate fibre connectivity. And the live view tools become, intricate as part of our workflow for getting that footage back really quickly and in good quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ready, go on.
No. I mean, you see the same as you discussed. I mean, we are normally let's say, focusing on the 90 minutes, and now we have all the fantastic ingredients to extend the 90 minutes or while we are doing the 90 minutes. So is there, let's say, if it comes to everything which is automated, let's say highlights and play out things, if there's something which you already implemented into your workflows?
From a Sunset+Vine point of view, we haven't as yet. And purely because the sort of contracts we work on currently, I still believe, and I think it will be true for the immediate future, that the human being will still make a better highlights package, I hope, than an automated computer system would do with the data that's available. And data, I think, is something that we'll touch on later. But there's definitely a market for it. Of course there is. And, when you're trying to create as much content as we can now, you want to tailor highlights for the home team, for the away team. Do you want to tailor highlights around a certain player that you have an interest in? There's definitely the market for that. So at Sunset+Vine, we haven't touched on automation, on automated highlights, sort of program making as it is as yet. But definitely a market for it. I'm really interested to see where it's going to go.
Okay, Emili, from your side, what are you already doing at La Liga, or let's say, are you focusing on 90 minutes 25 cameras?
Well, as probably everybody knows, we in Mediapro we are producing thousands of matches every season, but obviously we are working in file transfer protocols or file transfer workflows from many time ago. Basically, with the excuse to create what we name the super feed, is a feed that works in parallel, as other competitions are doing, to offer special clips that are not on air in live, and to promote and to have better pictures for the highlights at the end of the match for the broadcaster that has these capabilities.
Okay.
This workflow is based on file transfer. We transfer these files from the EVSs on site to our production center in Barcelona, where we put in order all these clips, and we select the best clips. This workflow permits us to create the final extended highlights at the end of the match, and we can avoid the play out, the traditional play out at the end of the match that needs more or less 1 hour of occupancy from the OB ban and a part of the crew that needs to take care of this play out. We need to do this when we don't have a lot of connectivity in other leagues, but we consider that this is something not very much complicated. It's something we can do when we have connectivity and when we can design the correct workflow, and it's part of our day-to-day production.
Cool, that's good. Good to hear. And Tim, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for the colleagues providing us with these insights in the panels before. Well, I can sum up that it confirms my impressions from the last months. As you know, we're just preparing our new license period, and we have a lot of talks with all involved licensees and stakeholders, how we can set up the best production workflows for the usage live and the usage next to live and then before. So the providing this amount of content that we now have with 26 cameras, but just 1 hour before, taking a lot of pictures. We do have a social media matchday feed, which is combining all elements that are delivered by club representatives, social media club representatives. And all these are elements that our licensees need to provide their end users. And this user experience, the interactivity aspect that was mentioned, I think one of the points were that we are just tricky question that we have to answer. How can we provide all these special user groups, and especially the younger groups, with new formats and new content, and in which way do we get it to our central production site? And therefore, with the file transfer, we are doing the same as Emili just explained, to bring this content as fast as possible to our central production hub, and to deliver it in various formats via platforms, via double or whatever, to deliver as much as possible to the licensees, and they can choose in which way they want to interact with their customers.
Yeah, I can fully agree. I mean, we as Sky Germany, we are one of the stakeholders, as Tim knows, that we are still in discussion. But I like the good thing is, and I hope you all agree. I mean, we were focusing so much on the 90 minutes in the past, and this is still our bread and butter business. And with all these new tools and enhancements, there is so much opportunity to, as Tim also mentioned, let's say how we want to tackle and provide new target groups with different content, which we which we never, let's say, discussed before, how we create a new story line which is never said before and told before. So I think there's a lot of opportunities with all these new elements and new technologies out there, and it's good to hear that you already baked in a lot of, let's say, into your actual workflow. So what are you missing, if I ask the other question, if you, let's say, want to tackle the industry and saying, boys, we need something which are missing, what would you say on a virtual IBC or NAB, Mark?
So, I want to start with data. I think I know, and people may go, "What?" I mean,
right.
Probably the most data captured sport going. But I think there's an element where there's the player data, which obviously opens up, a whole different argument about who owns player data. But recently we saw there were trials for the smart ball on a women's Six Nations match. Is there more data that we can glean from the games, and also how we're shown the data? I think early in the earlier conversation, I think it was Native Waves talking about how they can capture data and put it into one of their into part of their platforms. And have we yet to hit the peak of how we are showing data, how we're collecting data, and how we're showing it, and is there more data we can play with? I mean, I've always been intrigued of, should we start putting data around the advertising boards on a pitch just to, get fan engagement once fans are back in, so sort of fans in the stadium can actually get some real time feedback about how their team are playing. And also just sort of going back to the BT for our BT Sport coverage, the BT Sport app now, you can now watch in real time speed of the players, their maximum speed, the speeds of the they're currently running. And I think we haven't really, and it sounds like perhaps we have, but I think we haven't really fully explored that yet, and how we show that data, not necessarily on the linear programming part, but on the second screen experiencing the second screen and the different platforms now. And I think again, coining a phrase said earlier, is it the super digital natives? I think it was the phrase coined, and they're so, the next generation love content. They love short form content. They love stats. They love facts. And is that an area that we can explore more, perhaps?
Fully agree. I mean, I think that's where we are still in the European market, far behind than the US market. I mean, they embrace the storytelling. They implement it. So what are you exploring in the Spain market? So how important are data, and what can you do with the data besides the fact that you are, let's say, showing a full screen graphics about ball possession? What is data for your business?
Well, we think that data is one of the key points we have in mind to develop more tools and more capabilities on content creation and delivering better information to the fans. We are doing this on the time graphics, the augmented reality, trying to add what is relevant or what we can explain, because we have a lot of data, and analyzing this data, we can create a lot of different information that sometimes is difficult to understand in a graphics layer. Mm-hmm. Probably the best effort for our TV directors is to try to identify this what kind of data is relevant, and how to show this data on graphics. Another thing is this data is used to create or to classify or to tag clips in our automated workflows using AI Pro Clips software we developed internally. Mm-hmm. And this data is the base of the minimum needed to classify the clips. After this, we need to add what we consider is the value of the value needed to create a good highlight, or a good, it's not the traditional highlights, but a good specific highlight with some specs we can specify. to create the value of the journalist knowledge, or what the fan needs to that needs for having a good playlist of clips. And this information is only we can introduce this information at the beginning of the learning model, helping the machine with tagging better these clips based on the experience of the journalists we have working for sports channels every day, and validating the automated highlights every week. During 1.5 seasons, we teach it a system, and now the system for La Liga is working very, very well. The playlists are very accurate in terms of what we need to deliver, and is ready to be used for a commercial production.
Cool. Interesting. I mean, Tim, in your workflows at Sportcast or Bundesliga, so how important is automation? And at the end of the day, was, let's say, always interesting to hear how, let's say, customers, fans, are they appreciate what they're getting on top of the traditional service? I mean, do you need, or do you have any surveys saying, yes, we're going into the right direction? I mean, you can let's say at the end of the day, you can produce tons of clips, but if nobody's watching it, why asking the engine to learn it? I mean, so what is your thought on that, and the expectation also on the market?
Well, we do have a lot of intense considerations with our licensees. Our product team in Frankfurt is talking to them continuously to see in which way are they using the products we provide to them, and in which way do they want more clips or more elements. And I mean, we just need to offer all the ingredients so that they can make the perfect product for their users in their country. And that's what we are always focusing on. And especially when you just see this metadata we just talked about, it's the base for the automation procedures in all our production workflows, because on site, and as Jens mentioned in his presentation, how do we make the best tagging in the starting in the live situation? How can we create clear parameters that help all parties that came afterwards to produce the best possible products? And that's very important for us, where we're working intensely. And you also asked what are our wishes from the branch. I think I would like to have more flexibility, because so far we still have a lot of solutions that are focused on the manufacturer. And we just need more flexibility, because as we see, there are solutions that pop up from the lower tires, and that we need to integrate somehow in our professional Bundesliga top production tire. And then we need to integrate these, and therefore we need to somehow combine the professional world and the digital small production world to bring the best of both of it into successful production. And that's what we try currently to identify how do we proceed these perfect ingredients, and which kind of automation helps, because as you just said, it doesn't help to provide 26 angles to all customers, because no one is looking and no one is using it. So I think it's very important still to have an orchestration to give possible ways of consuming, but to have a choice on the customer side.
Okay, I'm interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, and everyone, give me your thoughts. I mean, how important is simplification on that? How important is, let's say, that producers of the new age let's say people, they want to push buttons, they want to use UIs. They don't want to care about backends, and you don't want to, let's say, a very weirdo technical supervisor coming on, no, don't touch this, don't touch that. So how important is simplification if we're talking about all the new tools coming along for, at the end of the day, on-site or production center tools? Emil, you want to start?
Oh, yeah, this is part of our day-by-day philosophy. Is the ergonomy, no? Or we need to put tools easy to use for our professionals, but also for the end users. And we need to offer what they like to see without asking them what they like. And this is part of the editorial job of detecting what is interesting, how we need to interact with the end user, and what they need to offer in terms of content, but also in terms of interface, and depending on the network or the social network where we are delivering content, the content is consumed in a different way. Not only because one is a square and another one is 60x9, all these kind of things. Is basically because the consumers are using this network with a mentality or with a specific philosophy, and they like to see different things in different social networks. And this is something difficult in terms of editorial meaning, and we need to facilitate to the editor this content prepared to be delivered to these different places, or to these different networks. No?
Networks, outlets, yeah. Mark, do you have the feeling that, especially if it comes to simplification, that the manufacturers already heard our message? We want easy tools. We do not want to have complex. We want to have, let's say, let me call the buzzword holistic view on that. We want implementation easily. Do you feel we can push them more as end user, so called?
We should push them all forward. I think simplification. I mean, over the last year, with remote production, which I'm sure we'll touch on later. I mean, we've, like budgets get smaller, which means we have to have less production crew. And so we need tools to be simpler, and we're multi-skilling more people, et cetera. I mean, the vMix, not wishing to drop some brand names in, but the vMix has sort of revolutionized our TV coverage over the last year, just because it instantly fell into a very nice remote production box. And there are lots of other, obviously, units that can do the similar thing. And now we've got one or two people sat 100 miles away operating and producing their complete football program. And so those tools have been ideal, and they have been, and they have to be simple, because you want two people to cover replays, live action, graphics, audio, data, and also have time to sit back and go, editorially, am I making the right program here? So yeah, simplification is a must for us in terms of certain elements of the contracts that we cover.
Fully agree. Last question about let's say around this all the new features. Emil, if I would come to you and say, well, I'm a producer, I'm a smart guy, I want to have 25 cameras linear, I want to have a 9x16 shootout, I want to have a social media instant replay immediately, social feed implementation. Give me everything. I want to need a space in your OB-WAN. What would you ask? Or let's say, no, this is fully ironic. No, and I'm talking about.
And they're very good directors. So
no, absolutely.
They're very good.
And it's only, let's say, are coming along if the El Clasico is playing. So we're reeling the high level part. But I want to have everything out of one OB-WAN. How you would accommodate me as a customer? If you're saying, are we there yet, or what is missing on if I want to draw this perfect scenario?
Oh, well, the first question I try to do every time is, we need more cameras or we need better cameras? That's the first thing. In general, we have the same answer is, okay, probably with 25 cameras is enough, and we will need better cameras if we like to increase the quality or we like to have better production. Well, the second thing is something more operational. Today we have limitations because of the COVID and with the distance between people. And inside an hobby van, the bigger hobby van we can rent in the market has no space to accommodate all these people, all the people needed for these big productions, considering the COVID restrictions. And what with us from the beginning of the lockdown, working delocalized for some kind of operations, EVS and shaders are working in Barcelona or in Madrid, not in the stadiums, in our production centers, to permit to have more place inside the hobby van and to work safety for this kind of productions. But at the end, what we like to do is, okay, we have a camera that has the standard quality and it looks well. But if we can increase the quality of this camera, probably it's better than put another camera, except for drones or these kind of special cameras that are, well, sometimes interesting to add in the production. But in any case, if we added drones, but the first we needed to work is to have drone in HDR, and this is something that at the beginning was not very easy to do, because to fly a drone, you need a license. This drone needs to be approved by the regulators and so on. And we needed to design a specific drone with a specific camera to be able to work in 1080p 50 and HDR in live with no latency and all these kind of needs for this live productions.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. This brings us more and more now a little bit to the big trends, because you mentioned it: drones, aerial systems, special camera systems. I mean, I can personally say we see it here in Germany, and our friends from Sportcast, let's say, constantly putting, let's say, special camera systems here. So, Tim, how happy are you with adding, let's say, to the traditional camera package, special camera systems on it? What is the feedback from your customers and kind of learnings? Because quite frankly, I mean, 70% is still camera one. It's good, it's perfect, it's nice. It's sometimes 80%. So what is the benefit to all the drones and aerial systems, which I personally like very, very much? But let's say that's not by my opinion here. What is the feedback out of from your customer base, and where you want to go with exactly with special camera systems?
Well, I think during the COVID, we had a lot of challenges, or still have a lot of challenges in our production concept, but this was the only chance to somehow vary our product and somehow bring some new perspectives. Still, we have the hygiene regulations, so we're not as we wish, as progressive as we could be, because we would like to be nearer on the pitch and deliver more perspectives. I think, as you said, in the 90 minutes, it's just really a challenge to bring in these 25 cameras in a percentage that it's worth it and that it really shows this added value. But especially in the features we just talked about in the first part of the session, I think there they can really bring an additional value, because these cameras deliver really nice pictures and special perspectives, and we should use these even more to bring it onto TikTok or Insta or whatever to make the younger audience aware of these pictures, because maybe they share this impression or whatever and then really like it. And therefore, I think it's the possibility to deliver it in the post procedure. And even more, I personally would like if the directors would use it more progressive in some ways to you might, I mean, all of you know there are these big discussions of the traditionalists and the forward-looking people and say, oh no, I want to see the 70% of camera run because I don't see anything what's happening on the pitch. So I think we'll always have this discussion, but I think not this one product. Maybe we get to the stage where we can produce two products, and when one is more the traditional world feed, and the other one is more the fancy world feed. So that for both user groups and both target groups, we can deliver the product they like.
Mark, from your perspective, do you think especially a special camera system can bring the emo shots, the sometimes missing emotion, and closer to the action of field? And I think yes, but what is your feeling about special camera systems in your coverage?
We had cameras. I mean, let's take your classic 2025 camera setup.
Keep it in the room. It's good.
Camera setup. You add cameras to bring perhaps gravitas to the event. No, it is a bigger game, so you automatically add cameras to it. You're not adding cameras to it to cover the camera one better. You're adding those extra cameras to it to catch those tiny instances that you may not always get with your 25 cameras. Your extra 4, 5, 6 cameras may just catch that unique angle, that unique glance, that great little back hill pass, something that you may not capture. And I really, it's interesting about the second screen experience. And I'm very much, for investigating, do you start to cover foot differently, even to the point where a lot of people now are watching the football on a very small screen. We've all gone out and brought our 80-inch, screens, but still a lot of people watch it on the small screen. And do you do a camera one that's actually a camera 1.5 for those people? It's not quite the camera 2, but it's like a camera 1.5. And I know they've experimented it. I think in basketball they now do a tighter coverage in basketball for viewers who are watching on the smaller screen. So I think there's all those sort of areas to investigate.
Definitely, and we will cover, let's say, the incorporation then if it comes to 5G in a minute. But Emil, I always, let's say, explored also in your coverage the Sony cam, the photo cam, how you call it, cinematic
Cinecam.
Look. Is this your product name? Because I heard everything from Megathlon, like Cynic. So, but anyway, the funny thing is, you have this camera, and it's sometimes till Zoom are not working. But it is what my observation is: players, they're seeing these cameras and they are playing with this camera. Is this something which helps us really? I mean, this is something where we talk about low budget camera implementation in a nice feed, but it gives a lot of, from my point of view, a lot of value into your coverage. Do you observe this in the same way, or what do you want to do with this camera in the near future?
This camera has a long story inside the Mediapro, but we started naming this camera the DSLR because it wasn't a Sony Alpha. But now we changed the name to the Cinema Cam, or the Cinecam, because it's a Sony Venice. That we changed it absolutely the budget of this camera. And that's basically because when we started the test, the second test, the TV director watched that the picture is fantastic and he needs to put on air. Mm-hmm. And he decided to put on air. It was probably the best picture for all the season. Celebration, and the look was very very beautiful because the depth of focus is obviously short in this kind of shots, and it represents where you need to focus the attention is in the players, not in the background. And with a wide angle, you see a beautiful picture. No? And with no control on this, this was a highlight in all the press, and we needed to do an extra effort trying to develop a workflow that can assure the camera with the better color shading capabilities, and and finally our TV directors decided something that I think is a good decision, is not to add one more camera as a DSLR, is change the Steadicam that we have in the field in the regular productions using this large sensor camera. But to use this camera during the match as a traditional look and feel, we need to close the iris and to change the setup of the camera during these Steadicam shots during the live match. But when there is a celebration, on when is the pre-match or the post-match, we need to change the setup very quickly. This is because the Venice, it works more or less to this cinema style. Well, cinema style for all people. The youngsters say it's the PlayStation style. That's something we discovered.
I would argue, my son would argue, why you call it cinema style? It's already on my iPhone. So yeah, but let's say that's different. That's a different story. But we talked a lot about cameras, and I can tell. I mean, UHD-HDR. I mean, this is a good success story here in Germany, and especially for Sky Germany, it's a really added value for customers. In general, what do you think? Do we need 8K? And this is a very provocative question, because at the end of the day, there was testing and that's where implementation in Super Bowl, but also at BT Sports. And I know we are, let's say, this is a moving industry, and then we're moving always towards the 8K, the next step. But did you discover 8K into your workflow somehow? I mean, besides PowerPoint drawings, what is your view on that, Mark?
Obviously, naturally, at one point we are going to hit 8K. Of course, we are. Technology will just expand. Whether or not we need to do it now, obviously with my ties with BT Sport, we're certainly, it's on the agenda. It's on our radar, and we are looking at it. It's not for me to say if it's going to be a big push in the next year or so. I still think we've still got a lot to learn. Put our hands up in UHD-HDR. We're by no means the master of that yet. It's an excellent platform, pitch quality, brilliant. But we still make the odd mistake or two with that, and we still, we're still fine tuning our workflows. Of course, we are. We always will do as technology gets better and increases. But yeah, I mean, 8K will ultimately, it probably will happen, but whether or not it has to happen quite as quickly, from a personal point of view, I'm quite happy with UHD-HDR currently. We've now got that solved. Let's have a wee break, and then we can get our thinking hats on again and work out how an 8K workflow is going to work. Because the camera's all piled ahead, the cameras and the lenses, great. But then we obviously then have to work out the back end with transportation, replays, etc., etc.
Absolutely.
Then it goes, oh, hold on, slam on the brakes here. How's that going to work?
Yeah, you're totally right. Tim, how happy are you with UHD-HDR in Bundesliga, and what is next? What are you observing here?
Well, as you know, for the next season, we will enhance the number of UHD-HDR matches intensely, and then therefore for us it's very important at the moment that we define the Bundesliga look and feel of HDR. We work with a number of different providers, and then they have different manufacturers, and so we have Brass Valley and Sony cams, and we want to ensure that we have a similar look over all matches. So that's I think a lot of work what the colleagues already have done, and we are still in it to make a best possible look. And I think if we do have an UHD-HDR in a really good setting, and if you have an evening match or if you have a sunny match, and in which way we want to cope with these, and then which way does this enhance my HD feed, and then what can we get out of it? I think this could be more value than looking onto the 8K camera in the next step to be to get the best out of this HDR, because I think it can really the product can really get enhanced through this.
Fully agree. So let's focus on the UHD-HDR for this step. But let's say I want first, and then we move to 8K. But let's say let me jump to one topic. It is time of part of transport, but also let's say new ways of working. It's about 5G and 5G broadcast. I mean, it is all around. It's also, let's say, some of those buzzer things, which are, let's say, brings us glory and everything and good revenue streams, maybe in a certain point of time. But where are you with 5G in your respective countries, and what are the possible advantages added exactly to, let's say, 5G broadcast? Emil, what would you, let's say, give your explanation about the Spanish market?
Yeah, we have two different approaches. One is the production, how we can use the 5G for production. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is how the end user can consume more content or better content thanks to the 5G. Mm-hmm. In the first point, we consider that 5G can be used as a public connectivity, as a FTTH, wireless. This will help when this coverage will be massive. This will help very much for producing content that today is expensive because of the satellite or because there is no connectivity in these places. And obviously it will help because of the remote production and production in the cloud for tier 2, tier 3 sports. And this will increase a lot because of the prices will decrease very, 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 very fast. Mm-hmm. In terms of consuming or what the consumers can do, we consider that the consumers can start watching the matches, for example, in a good quality when they are traveling. But for example, in the stadiums, we will offer the possibility to use this data, for example, with some augmented reality tools or devices in the stadium, with the capability to analyze or to see what is happening in the stadium better than at home. That today we have the capability to have more information and more connectivity. Mm-hmm. And speaking about the HDR, I'm sorry, but I need to say that Mediapro is producing all the HDR matches for La Liga with 3 brands of cameras. Yeah. And obviously we needed to use the same standardization. Mm-hmm. That's the common format for all the cameras, mm-hmm. Not using slo-3 or this specific format that are only for one brand. Mm-hmm. And well, this is the best way, in our opinion, have the same standard using different cameras in the same match. We have special cameras from Panasonic, for example, mm-hmm. And the main cameras are from Grass Valley or from Sony, depending on the match.
Okay, good. Mark, your observation regarding 5G broadcast, I mean, you're doing a lot for BT. So is this something of, let's say, giving them a push and saying, okay, using 5G in a certain area or network slicing? So what are you experimenting with?
I think network slicing is key, isn't it? And that's the key word on this one. It becomes a very viable transmission tool. So, and as we've seen, so that saves us costs instantly. We've always been using 4G technology for our access all areas, but 5G, once the crowds come back in, allows us a bit more connectivity a bit more reassurance it's all going to work. But also an interesting one that we've had recently over the last year is that we've found out that most people at home don't have great internet connectivity. And so when it comes to our remote production, I think 5G will allow us to put a robust remote production solution into people's homes. And we're very much, as part of BT Sport, is pushing for this accessibility so more people can get involved in making production who can't necessarily travel to OBs or even get into OB trucks. And if we can put guaranteed bandwidth into people's homes, which 5G can do, and we can control that whole interface, that really opens up a lot of possibilities for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely more to come, and we will hear and see a lot of, let's say, good use cases. So unfortunately, the session comes to an end. Let's say I could talk hours, and we have to definitely meet over a beer for a couple of topics, definitely when we can meet personally. But last one question, and it's more, let's say, not a question which is directly related to production, but it is more or less because of its relevance and hype at the moment. We're talking about this European Super League thing, and it is crucial. I know that just a personal opinion on that, not a corporate one, just a personal opinion on that. Tim, is this a solo effort by elite clubs, money machine, or is there any necessity for the sport? What is really just personal opinion on that?
Well, there's been a lot of discussions about this topic, but out of our perspective, I mean, we always said Bundesliga is for us the core, and the national competitions is the core for qualifying for European competitions, and therefore we think, and then there were some clear statements yesterday from DFL and DFB, and as we are part of them, we can we rely on this traditional format, and we believe in it, and I can't really understand why this decision was done by the 12th, but yeah, that's my personal opinion.
Emil, what is your personal opinion on that?
Absolutely personal.
Yeah, absolutely personal, but I'm not sure if you're Barcelona or Real Madrid, but the both are in.
Yeah. I'm Florentino. It's the president of this. No, I think it's probably good for shaking a little bit the market. No, but probably it will be a little bit difficult to do. I am not expert on rights and on these kind of things, but I think there's no much money for much competitions on the rights market, and well, probably they will need to have to arrive to an agreement between the champions and the Super League, or I don't know. Probably it will be good to see in the next weeks or month. We will see.
We will see. Mark, do you want to give us your opinion on that?
Well, I'll follow on from you. I suppose say I'm by no means an expert on sports rights and the money business of football, but I mean, I'm a football fan. I support Portsmouth, who are doing well in League One at the moment, I would say. I think the Super League obviously is a long way away from the aspirations of a Portsmouth fan, but you know the money that trickles down from the big leagues is important for certainly my club. And so anything that may rock that boat obviously needs to be looked at very carefully, you know, all the way down through to grassroots football, because that's how it all starts, isn't it? You know, with grassroots football, there is no job for any of us coming through. So that's my personal opinion on it.
Yeah. Sam, and then I have also a personal opinion, because don't say he's not telling. No, and unfortunately they are, let's say, part of this group, but I'm totally against it. I can say that's really also my personal opinion, because it is something which is not helping fans and football at all. It's something which drives hedge funds and money machines maybe to something which is not good. But we will see. It's not in our hands. We are here to, let's say, produce them, no matter what. Is it Champions League, Euro League, National Leagues, Super Leagues, Super Leagues? No, I mean, at the end of the day, we can use tools, and many thanks really to all of you. It was really fun and really appreciate your time. I think the topics are massive, and I think it's exciting times in front of us because we see that we can enlarge and enhance products beyond the 90 minutes. And I think if we remember this session, maybe 4 years ago, we would sit here and talk about, what is the HD, UHD, which camera, which lenses. And now we're talking about 30 minutes about automation, cloud, multi-streaming, multitasking. What is the next thing for the editorial? So exciting times, and we are part of it. So thank you very much to taking part on this panel, and please stay safe and be all well, and hopefully see you in person soon. And then catch up soon, hopefully. Thank you very much.